right, there we are. We are live, and we are back in the garage. No more recording from a freezing cold car outside of a hospital. I'm now recording from a freezing cold garage right outside my house. Much better setup. Got home last week. Babies are doing fine. Whole thing took a little bit longer than everybody thought it would, but that's to be expected whenever there's any kind of pregnancy, but specifically twins. It's quite unpredictable. But I'm here, and we are now starting Midnight Movie Talk. From here on out, unless something else changes, we've had a couple of days to adjust at home. We got a schedule going. It's going to be 11 o'clock p.m. Every night, basically. Maybe not weekends. I'm still trying to think about it. But we'll be here talking about the latest in the movie news. So we will get right into it. Today's big story, the Rust Armorer is suing the film's ammo supplier over the deadly on-set shooting. The shooting, which was outside of Travis Scott's festival disaster, probably the biggest entertainment story of last year. And mostly because of who was involved with that. I mean, on-set deaths happen not all the time, but regularly. It's filmmaking is a relatively dangerous field. Usually it's only stunt people that are at risk, but there has been other incidents, such as the Allman Brothers movie and things like that. But this story was so big, particularly because of who was involved with it and who directly committed the act that led to the death. But we'll talk about this specific story because the whole shooting itself has been beat to death. Like I said, it was the biggest story of last year, and second biggest entertainment story, probably the biggest movie story. And so we're not going to talk too much about it, but this is a new update, and, excuse me. Anytime new information comes out about this as the investigation continues, there still hasn't been any charges filed. It's kind of interesting to follow. So this comes from NPR. Joe Hernandez says, the woman in charge of firearms on the set of the film Rust, where a deadly October shooting left cinematographer Helena Hutchins dead, is blaming the movie's ammunition supplier for the fatal accident. Hanu Gutierrez-Reed, the armorer and key props assistant on Rust, filed a lawsuit in New Mexico State Court on Wednesday saying the production bought live ammunition that she believed to be dummy rounds. The complaint names PDQ Armand Prop and founder managing member Seth Kenny as defendants. Hannah relied upon and trusted that defendants would only supply dummy prop ammunition or blanks, and no live rounds were ever to be on set, the lawsuit reads. So, there we go. Not exactly sure what this means. It's kind of interesting to me because she has been the one that everybody's been blaming, except for people with common sense who automatically, blame Alec Baldwin, because at the end of the day, it is his fault. He was the one handling the firearm. He was the one being reckless with it. Yes, there are a bunch of steps that didn't happen that could have prevented this accident. So other people are to blame also, but ultimately it is his fault, accident or not. He was being reckless. She's been the one that's been thrown under the bus mostly for this. Justified so or not, it's kind of too early to tell at this point, but like I said, no charges or anything like that have been filed. I think there's been some lawsuits by the victim's family, but I don't even know about that. This is a major development, I think, as far as pushing the story along, because the people involved in this, this happened so long ago already, it's kind of hard to believe. And there's been no real action made, that something like this might just be done to kind of move on to the next step. She's sitting around waiting to get arrested or charged for this, so she's automatically passing the buck to somebody else. But in my opinion, her filing this lawsuit, and I didn't read through it, I don't know all the legalese and all. I'm not exactly sure what she's alleging in this, besides the stated obvious that they told her that they were dummy rounds and they were in fact not. So, okay, that would be their fault, but isn't it her job to confirm that they're using the right products? So, in my mind, if I'm reading this lawsuit in the layman's terms, which is she's suing them because they said they were dummy rounds and they weren't, and she didn't catch it, that to me, this seems like admitting fault here, which obviously she kind of has to, because there was. Yeah, I think it's pretty much confirmed that she informed them that there was dummy rounds in the gun, that it was a cold gun, and yet obviously it wasn't. And so, as much as Alec Baldwin's at fault because he thought it was a cold gun, but it wasn't, so he was reckless. She's at fault too because she thought they were dummy rounds, but they weren't. I mean, these are the two key figures in this incident, besides the victim. The two victims, actually, is Alec Baldwin and this Gutierrez Reed, Hannah Gutierrez Reed. They're the two main, not suspects, but characters, I guess, in this tale. And they're passing the blame back and forth, and they both have the same fault, it seems like. They were both reckless. At the end of the day, I think it goes to both of them. I don't know if she's spoken out that much publicly, though. I know Alec Baldwin's lost his mind. I don't know if you guys saw the Splenda video where he held up that packet of Splenda and was just babbling like a crazy person. He's obviously losing his mind over this. So yeah, that's pretty much it on this. I just wanted to start the show off with this because this is it's a development in the story. We're still far away from anything actually happening, but yeah, to me, her filing this lawsuit is admitting that she didn't do her job. Maybe it's not technically her fault, but it's her fault. Next story tonight I want to talk about is... Sorry, if I can get back into the swing of things. Haven't done a live show like this in a while, but hopefully by the end of the week, it's already almost the end of the week. By the end of probably a week of me back doing this, I'll be back into the swing of things. Now, if I can only get my shit to load here. This is from Cinema Blend, and it says, Zendaya pens tribute to Ronnie Spector ahead of playing the late singer in biopic. The Ronettes' lead singer died on Wednesday. So I'll read this article first, at least the pieces of it. On Wednesday, the music world lost a legend when it reported that Ronnie Spector, lead singer of iconic 60s girl group The Ronettes, died at the age of 78. It's yet another loss at the top of the year. The icon is best known for her powerhouse vocals and classic songs like Be My Baby, Do I Love You, and their versions of Christmas songs like Sleigh Ride. Spider-Man and Euphoria actress Zendaya has been getting ready to play Spector on the screen and was heartbroken to hear of her passing. 25-year-old took to her Instagram to pin a tribute to the late singer, which includes a Polaroid of herself with the singer. And then it's got the message here, which I would like to read if it would pop up here. A couple thoughts on this before I share with you what she actually wrote. To me, this story is kind of cool for a lot of reasons. It's obviously not cool that, this gal died. But as far as Zendaya paying tribute, it's nice. Obviously that's cool. But it also reinforces the fact that this movie's still happening, because this was announced in 2020 that Zendaya was going to play her, and it's because she was signed on to produce the movie of her life, and she handpicked Zendaya, I'm not sure, to be cast in it. But I think they have a writer attached, but no screenplay yet, and no director, and no other cast involved, I'm pretty sure. But this confirms that this movie is still on the way. Which is cool, and this news might actually give it a boost. And this whole situation right here, for whatever reason, is reminding me of a couple of years ago when the lead singer of the Cranberries passed away right before the Bad Wolves cover of Zombie came out. And they obviously did a touching tribute to her and stuff, too, in the same way. And so I love that stuff. It's kind of cool. Here's a message from Zendaya. It says, the news just breaks my heart. To speak about her as if she's not with us feels strange, as she is so incredibly full of life. There's not a time I saw her without her iconic red lips and full teased hair, a true rock star through and through. Ronnie, being able to know you has been one of the greatest honors of my life. Thank you for sharing your life with me. I could listen to your stories for hours and hours. Thank you for your unmeasured talent, your unwavering love for performing, your strength, resilience, and your grace. There is absolutely nothing that could dim the light you cast. I admire you so much and am so grateful for the bond we share. You are a magical force of greatness, and the world of music will never be the same. I wish everyone got to experience you the way I did. We celebrate your beautiful life and give you all the flowers you so rightfully deserve. Rest in great power, Ronnie. I hope to make you proud. And so that's the story today, because unfortunately this gal did pass away, which is tragic. Obviously, it's sad when anybody dies, and we already have experienced some pretty high-profile deaths already this year. But I guess just because the movie comes up, I'll just use this as an opportunity to talk about the movie. I love biopics. There can be shitty movies, shitty biopics, just like there can be any shitty style of movie, but I know we do get quite a few of them, but a lot of them are kind of indie films. I think it's a real underused genre. I think that I imagine I dream of a world of a biopic universe the size of the MCU or something like that. I'm fascinated when films dive into a person's history. We've seen a lot of bad ones, a lot of good ones. One of the cool things about this particular movie was that she was signed on to be a producer on it, which that could be either good or bad. She's involved in the production of her own movie. So with that, we could get Motley Crue The Dirt, where all of the members of the band helped put that movie out. Is based on a book that they all wrote. Oh, sorry. Don't have COVID. It's just cold out here. And it was pretty true to life. All the horrible shit included. We got, Tommy Lee punching the chick in the face, Nikki Sixx's drug problems, Vince Neil killing the guy in the DUI accident. Like, they didn't pull any punches really in telling their story. And that was great. That's exactly what you want, because you don't want the people involved with the movie to totally disown it, like the Queen movie that we almost got from Sacha Baron Cohen. Maybe it would have been more accurate than the one we ended up getting, but the surviving members of Queen, were absolutely disgusted by it. So you have three different scenarios, I guess. You have the surviving members are involved and they like it and they help put it out. You have the surviving members aren't involved and they disown it and they hate it. And then you have like Straight Outta Compton, where the surviving members are involved, but they use their creative power over the making of the movie to kind of gloss over certain areas. I mean, as much as I love that movie, it was borderline fiction. The shit that they left out and the stuff that they really just passed over and skipped through. I mean, there was a lot of discrimination and things like that they had to deal with, but they weren't saints. There was a lot of bad things that they did and partook in and everything like that. And if you watch that movie, you'd think every time that they had to deal with the police, it was directly because of discrimination or something like that. And that was not the case at all. But they were involved with making the movie. They had to sign off on it. And so they weren't going to let the movie be too truthful to how, shitty they actually were, and how the story didn't quite go as beautiful as they'd have liked it to. But, and as I said in the beginning too, sorry, I'm bouncing back and forth here. The other cool thing about this post is it's cool. It's honoring her. It's reminding everybody about this movie and might get a jump start going on it. And like I said, I love biopics. I think that I don't know why there's not more. I think we need to have a couple more big hit ones. Like I know Bohemian Rhapsody, that was huge. That was like $1 billion movie. If we get a couple more like that, we might get more, because they're kind of, we get a bunch of them every year, but there's only every couple years do we have one that really hits, like a Walk the Line or a Bohemian Rhapsody or Straight Outta Compton. And those are just music biopics. Obviously, we've gotten other true stories that are basically biopics that come out every year, but not on the grand blockbuster scale. And I don't see why it's not pitched the same way as basically everything comes out. It's, in society's conversation. Oh, did you hear they're making a remake of this, or they're doing a live action this? Like, you could do that along the same lines because everybody has celebrities that they like. Oh, did you hear they're making a movie about the Ronettes? Like, I think hopefully this is another step in the right direction of us getting there. But like I said, I wasn't sure that this movie was still happening because I haven't heard anything about it in a long time. And I thought this might turn into a Mike Tyson or Jamie Foxx Mike Tyson situation, which I think is going to happen. But every other year, my opinion changes on that because it's been drawn out for so long that, who knows if it's actually going to happen or not. The next story, this is actually a TV story, but it's a TV show that's based on a movie, so it's, related to the whole Midnight Movie Talk idea. And actually, I was a big fan of these movies. I was a kid when they came out. Now I tend to view them as guilty pleasures or whatever, but I think they're fantastic, and obviously the show is going to be just kind of set in the world that it created. I don't think any of the characters are coming back or anything like that. The news is that National Treasure, the show, that's right, they're making a National Treasure show, casts 5 new characters for the Disney Plus series. Disney's National Treasure series casts 5 friends for Lisette. Oh, holy shit, that's a name. The gal they cast as the lead in the show, Lisette Alexis, characters named Jess, including Parenthood's Lyndon Smith and Stargirl's Jake Austin Walker. So a bunch of actors who are going to be series regulars, I guess, who I'm not familiar with because I don't watch a lot of TV. This is from Screen Rant. It says Disney Plus new show based on National Treasure has found 5 more cast members for their upcoming adventure mystery. The original movie and its sequel, National Treasure Book of Secrets, both starred Nicolas Cage as historian Benjamin Franklin Gates. While fans have been waiting patiently for over a decade for news of a third movie, Disney seemingly shifted course when they announced the series to continue the franchise in new light. National Treasure, which will come straight to Disney Plus, is set to follow Jess Morales, played by Lisette Alexis, a 20-year-old Latina explorer in search of her family history. Jess' adventures alongside her friends leads her to recover long-lost treasure. Jesus. Original film producer Jerry Bruckheimer serves as executive producer on the film, while original screenwriting duo Cormac and Marianne Weberly return to pen the series. So I'm not actually going to speak a whole lot on this particular announcement because I'm not familiar with any of these actors. I guess I can at least name them for you. It says Parenthood's Lyndon Smith will play an FBI agent. Ross will play FBI agent Ross, who joins in the adventure to prove herself to her superiors. Zuri Reed joins the cast as Jess's high school best friend. Tasha Ladybird's Jordan Rodriguez is set to play Ethan, Jess's longtime friend and admirer. Antonio Caparano, fucking that up, will play knowledgeable but goofy theorist Orin, while Stargirl's Jake Austin Walker rounds out the ensemble as broody musician Liam, who comes from a long line of treasure hunters. Now, back to what I was saying before. Oh, hi to the bot in the chat. I can't give much of an opinion on this particular piece of news here, but I'll use this as an opportunity to talk about the fact that they're doing the show. I'm super excited about it because obviously I like the movies, and I thought when Disney Plus started rebooting stuff, I had my fingers crossed for National Treasure. Then they announced they were doing a TV show, and I was kind of bummed about it. Then I thought, hey, if that's a hit, then maybe they'll bring back the movies too, because that was an old joke. I said if I won a couple years ago, the Powerball was like $1 billion. I said that I would put a revolving door in my house, buy a pet sloth, and personally fund a National Treasure 3. Bring everybody back, Justin Bartha, Nick Cage, and they are bringing back the writers for this TV show. And like I said, I love the movies, so it's going to have the same flavor, I guess, in the show. People are calling this the woke version because the main character, it's a female minority FBI agent who's a dreamer, I guess. Something being woke doesn't automatically turn me away from it. That's not automatically a bad thing. It can make a product bad, or it can just kind of be part of it, and if it's still a good product, it's not really going to affect the outcome of it. The only issue is when it gets really preachy or, really pushes it in your face. But with this, okay, maybe it is woke, but it's also not unrealistic. I mean, the world of treasure hunting is silly and crazy and everything like this. But, I guess there's been stories like that throughout history. I can't remember the guy that just died that hid the treasure. Nothing like National Treasure, obviously not on that scale. God, I can't think of that guy's name. The old dude just died. Forrest Fenn or something like that. Anyways, but so the world that it's set in is already kind of crazy. The fact that there's all these treasures to be found. The woke part is that it's a female-led FBI agent, dreamer, whatever. But that's actually pretty reflective of reality. I mean, I don't know if everybody's seen. They got made fun of quite a bit, but the recent recruitment videos out by, I think it was the CIA, but I think FBI's done similar things where they're particularly advertising to minorities or people of, certain classes, LGBT or, Latinos or African Americans, whatever you want to call it. They're specifically reaching out to try to fill these spots with people of diverse backgrounds instead of, people who are best for it or who want it. Their main thing right now is trying to hit all the diversity spots on their bingo card. And so the fact that the lead of the show is a female FBI agent, that's actually reflective of what's happening in real life. So, okay, it's woke, but it's not like fake woke like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where the superhero that saved the world is getting stopped walking down the street because he's black, or he's not able to get a bank loan even though he saved the universe. It's not something like that. It's something that's actually real. It happens in real life, which is people of diverse backgrounds take up positions in the FBI, and that shouldn't even be that abject. I don't understand why anybody would complain about that, especially when we're talking about National Treasure. I mean, they're changing up everything nowadays. These are brand new characters. So, yeah, start something fresh. That's what everybody always says. That's what I always say, particularly, though I don't really care when they cast like a Black Little Mermaid or a female Batman. That hasn't happened yet, I don't think. But whenever they try to change things up like that, my thought is, instead of taking a character and rebranding it as a minority, why don't they create a new character, a brand new character that section of the population can just own as theirs? It's not their version of a white character, but it's a brand new character that's on the same level. And that seems like that's exactly what they're doing with this show, with the thought that this show is going to land and be a hit. And the next story actually involves a TV show that's coming from a movie too, and this has happened a lot throughout history, but it seems like it's happening more and more recently. Movies turning into shows. Obviously, we just had a giant year with the MCU last year, like 6 shows or something like that, all based on a movie universe. I think Hell or High Water TV show spinoff was announced this week. We've had them all the time. I think there's a shooter one. There was a Limitless one. I mean, it's a giant list. And I think if you're not going to continue National Treasure in another film, yeah, go the TV series route. That's pretty exciting. The next story revolving a show coming from a movie universe is Real Steel. This comes from MovieWeb. Real Steel series is happening at Disney+. Disney will reportedly revisit the world of Sean Levy's Real Steel with a series adaptation for their streaming service. Now, if you don't remember, I think this movie, it probably says here, I want to say it was like 2013 or 2014 or something like that. It was Hugh Jackman. It was 2011, so it's a little older than I thought, about 10 years old, 11 years old now. It was a live-action Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I love seeing Hugh Jackman outside of Wolverine or a singing and dancing role. Not that he's not awesome in both of those. I just, the man's got range, and I like to see it. Prisoners. This is one of my favorite movies ever. The story of Real Steel will continue in a new series adaptation, but it's going to be a while before we see it come to life. After years of rumors that a Real Steel sequel would be developed, Collider now reports that a new series is in early development at Disney+. Per the report, Disney had been looking to greenlight the series for months, but there had been some contractual issues with the original producers holding up the process. Word is all of the new contracts with the rights holders are settled and signed, with the search on for a writer to help develop the series. So this may or may not happen. We're in the really early stages of it, and Disney Plus has a big bowl of projects that they can pick from and throw out what they don't want, and so they could hire writers and get going on this and it never actually come to fruition, or this could come out next year. You never really know what's going to happen. I personally think it'd be a good idea because it's not necessarily a superhero franchise, but it's set in a interesting universe that could be parallel almost. It's believable. It's not totally fantastical or anything like that. It's just more set in like a future, like I think it's supposed to be set like 50 years in the future or something. So it's something that it's not like so flying carsy Jetsons type future. It's more, not even iRobot. I can't think of anything to compare it to. Maybe Ready Player One type future. And I don't know if they're going to get Hugh Jackman back. Probably not. It would probably just focus on the League of BattleBot players or whatever. I don't even really remember how that movie went. I just remember I loved it. And so I'm super excited about it. Although I will say that I hope that they do this, but they do got National Treasure. I just said, I just talked about all the Marvel stuff and about how they have a big pile of projects that they can pick from. And this one, I'm glad that they're doing it, but I want to know why we're hearing about this before we're hearing about Daredevil coming back or the Punisher coming back. It's kind of disappointing, especially because it was just confirmed that those characters still exist in the universe that they created with these new Disney Plus shows, the most recent ones like Hawkeye and WandaVision. And so, as excited as I am to return to the universe of Real Steel, come on, Disney Plus. Where is my Punisher continuation? I don't want a spin-off. Maybe a movie, that'd be cool, but I want John Bernthal back. I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks, and I rewatched all those, except for The Defenders. Never really got into that one. But, yeah, and Charlie Cox is back as Daredevil, even if it was just for like a minute. We know that the worlds are the same, and Wilson Fisk came back for Hawkeye. So we know it's coming. I'm sure they've already got something planned out, probably already written, maybe even in production, but we just haven't heard yet. And so they're trying to throw us off with this news of Real Steel because that's they know what people are really interested in. Next story here. So this is interesting. This comes from MovieWeb. It says Disney reportedly lost over $600 million on Black Widow to piracy. This will be the last story. I just want to touch on this because I find it... I don't know how they come up with this number. I guess I'll read a quick little bit of it. It says, Black Widow was one of the more highly anticipated films in the MCU. Many fans have wanted solo adventure for the character from the start. Still, even though the movie was highly anticipated, Disney estimates that between the streaming release and the high level of piracy for the film, they lost over $600 million in profit on Black Widow. According to a recent report from Deadline investigating the model of streaming and movie same-day releasing used by movie studios during the pandemic, the release of Black Widow on Disney Plus Premier Access eroded the box office gross, resulting in 68% second weekend drop. This was the most significant drop for any Disney-released Marvel film to date. And I don't think that these are models that they couldn't have ran before they did it. So that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like, it seems like they're complaining about this, but they should have known that this was going to happen because it's not like a shocking number of people, bought the film or didn't go to see it in theaters like they'd anticipated. This statement here saying that this was basically anticipated to be $1 billion film. And I think it's always kind of ballsy to make that assertion because you never know what's going to hit. You can have a movie that comes out and is $1 billion, and you have a sequel that comes out that nobody cares about. And that could have exactly been what we were dealing with here, even outside of the pandemic. I mean, $700-800 million, that's a good haul for any superhero movie. And even if it wasn't for the pandemic, a solo Black Widow movie, unless it was really great. And this one was okay. It was fun. I liked it. It's on my top 13 movie list, which I'll get to in a sec. it's I don't think you can say that automatically would have been a billion-dollar film because it doesn't continue the story at all. It's a character that we all like, but the character's been killed off. Plus this was one of the first big blockbusters. It was this and Fast and Furious 9. Godzilla came out before that, but that's not as much of a giant, big popcorn franchise. Obviously, it's been around longer and everybody knows the names. But as far as box office hauls historically over the last decade, Fast and Furious and Marvel have had the biggest hauls. And so they are, those were the first two big movies coming out of the pandemic. I don't know that even if they would have done if they wouldn't have done the online release thing, if this would have made $1 billion, which is what they're asserting from here. And I honestly they should have known that piracy was going to be a big issue, releasing something online like that. So I don't know why they did that. Obviously, everybody knows about the lawsuit between Scarlett Johansson and Disney over the whole debacle because she got paid in a percentage of the box office, and the box office was way less, apparently $600 million less than what they were expecting to get because of the theater thing. But they never released the full numbers on what they actually made from that theater release. I mean, not the theater release, the online release. Because that's, obviously you're not going to make up, because you can have a house full of people watch the movie for $30, but if a house full of people goes to the movies to see it, then it's going to make like $100, if not more. And so, this is just a mess. As much as I like stuff dropping online, I don't know how they would fix the piracy issue. And so, yeah, as shitty as this is, or shocking, it's quite the headline. Disney reportedly lost over $600 million on Black Widow to piracy. It's kind of like what I was talking about a couple weeks ago with West Side Story not making any money. It's a $100 million movie coming out on the weekend, or not the weekend, but around the same time as Spider-Man, which is bringing together like 20 years of films. Like, I don't understand why they make these decisions. Like, yes, obviously that's probably not gonna make its money back anyways, but then also putting it against Spider-Man, that's obviously a bad idea. With this, yeah, obviously it's going to be way easier to pirate because we're not talking about sitting in the theater with a camera or, even stealing it off the internet. We're talking about you can have a legit recording software set up, which I guess is stealing it off the internet, but it's not the same as like back in the day when you would get like still a shitty version of it. Like I remember watching like an incomplete X-Men Origins movie, and it's not even like that. You got a whole new thing to deal with. So yeah, okay. So a little over half an hour now, so I'll go ahead and wrap it up because I'm going to have some babies to feed here in about 20 minutes or so. Just wanted to mention that I know I was doing the Hawkeye spoiler streams immediately after the shows came out because I was up at like 1 a.m. anyways, which is what time they come out here. I had like 30 people watching the last one, which is pretty good for a new channel. But anyways, I was going to do the Book of Boba Fett. Obviously, big fan of Boba Fett. But I was at the hospital for the first few weeks, so I might get into that. Then I thought, I'll do Peacemaker. Even though I didn't like the Suicide Squad movie, that looks like an interesting show. And I watched the first episode of it last night, and I'm not going to be watching that show or doing spoiler streams. So the next spoiler streams is probably going to be Ozark, which comes out next Friday. And I don't know how I'm going to do it. I think right when it comes out here, I'll probably watch the first episode. That's the thing with Netflix as opposed to Disney Plus or HBO Max is they drop all the episodes at once still. They're not doing the week-by-week thing. So it'll be a little hard to do the spoiler stream. I'll probably that night do a spoiler stream for episode 1. And then probably over the weekend, I'll probably binge it and get it done by Sunday. I'll probably split it into 2 parts and do spoiler streams for like the first couple episodes and then the last couple episodes on Saturday and Sunday. But we'll see. That's still a couple of weeks away, and a week or two away. A week away. And I don't know how many episodes are coming out or anything like that. But yeah, the thing with Peacemaker was I was sitting here joking because I ended my year by seeing Spider-Man and then sitting in the hospital for 2 weeks. So naturally, I went back and rewatched all the Spider-Man movies, as well as Daredevil and Punisher, because I was there forever. But But with Spider-Man, I remember I watched the 2002 Raimi Spider-Man, and I was thinking, wow, this is nice because you wouldn't really get that nowadays. They were throwing gay jokes. It's just a classic superhero fighting bad guys, not woke at all, some of the stuff that was happening in there. And I was kind of making a joke about how some of the stuff in the film would actually be like offensive today. I'm like, well, the last Spider-Man wasn't woke. I didn't think so or anything like that. So they can still, I think we'll still get movies that aren't shoving shit down your throat and products and, all this stuff. I thought all the Marvel stuff last year, with the exceptions of parts of Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Eternals, which I didn't see, but that was the word. Okay, they could still make stuff without being woke. Not Marvel specifically, but just these businesses in general. And then I got through like half of the first episode of Peacemaker, and I was like, all right, this is going to be a little bit tough to watch because I don't like being preached to so much during movies. That being said, before I get out of here, I didn't do a year in review, top 10 movies or anything like that. So at the end of each of these for the next couple of days or next couple of weeks, I'm just going to say my favorite movies that came out. And then at the end, I'll clip them all together and do a year in review video that way. But like I said, wasn't able to happen because of situations in my life, circumstances in my life. That being said, I made a list of all the movies I saw last year, which was only 29. So I don't have a bad list because there was only like one movie that I saw last year that I didn't like. Because if I don't think I'm going to like a movie, I don't go and watch it. It's not something I spend my money on. So I saw 29 movies, and I was making a top 10 list. And I was talking to my wife, and she was like, oh, what about this movie? You wouldn't shut up about that. And, well, you love this movie. Why isn't it on there? And, shit, she's right. So I made a list of my top 13 favorite movies that came out last year. Number 13, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. The first, besides the TV show stuff, continuation of the Marvel Universe that doesn't have characters that we've already known about. I think, before the final Avengers movies, we had, because Black Panther was even introduced in Civil War. So you had Captain Marvel, and then before that it was Doctor Strange, I think, and then Ant-Man were all introduced not in a big team-up movie, and we haven't seen anything like that from Marvel in a long time, and it felt just like seeing the movies I just mentioned. It hit all the classic Marvel tropes, and it was absolutely fantastic, and it comes in at number 13 on my end-of-the-year list. 10 minutes over-ish, 7 minutes over. So that'll do it for tonight. I gotta go feed some babies. Join me here tomorrow night, 11 p.m. Mountain Time, for Midnight Movie Talk. And until then, thanks for watching. Bye.